Are you knocking it? Oh. Thank you, everyone. Welcome to the June 18th meeting of the Oregon City Arts Commission. I will pass it over to Ann to do a roll call.
Alexis Ingram. Here. Kristen Azeri. Here. Joyce Lemaster.
Here.
Josh Planton.
Here.
Rebecca Sierra.
Here.
Amy Wilson.
Here.
Myra Ravenwise and Amanda Dexter both have excused absences. I also want to take a moment to recognize Kelly Hart, who's joining us tonight. Kelly is the Community Development Director for the City of Oregon City. And as you might know from our recent reorganization, economic development is now sitting under community development, so it's very appropriate for Kelly to be here. Glad you could join us.
Thank you.
She needs a name tag.
So next up is approval of the agenda. Are there any proposed changes to the agenda? I'd like to add one small item at the beginning of the discussion items, which is just an update on the interview process and appointment for the vacant seat on the Arts Commission. I know people were expecting doing interviews today, and we didn't end up doing it, so I'll give an update on why that is. Any other changes? Okay, with that proposed change, do we have a motion to approve?
I move to approve the agenda.
Okay,
I would like to second.
give me seconds, great. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say the same. Okay, we'll consider the agenda approved. Going on to the minutes from May 21st. Are there any suggested changes to those? Are there minutes in the packet?
I didn't print them out, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Would you like me to?
No, just give me 1 minute here. I'll just.
They were in the mailed stuff, though.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, come on, they're perfect.
Oh, that's not what I wanted. I'll bring them up here. Unless, Ann, do you have them easily available on your computer? What did I do with them? I was just looking for the actual minutes, just to bring them up on Zoom real quick and let people see them, just to make sure there was no
I think to
edits.
remind them of how they read them earlier.
This is, I
Well,
don't understand.
some people might notice something.
This is not matching what's on my
Okay.
computer. I don't know why where's 2026? It's not here.
We,
You can find it in the agenda that's posted.
But it should be there.
okay, I got them.
Are you getting
Yeah, I'll display them real quick.
Thank you. Thank you, Josh.
Zoom allows me to. Oh, never mind. My browser is saying it's not going to let me do it. Oh, there we go. Allow. Okay. Okay, minutes. I read through them. I didn't have any changes, Amy, but if anyone else does, please let us know. Okay, not hearing any comments or edits, so is there a motion to approve?
I motion to approve.
Thanks, Joyce. Second? Is there a second? Amy, thank you. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say the same. The ayes have it. Those can be approved. And any public comments that we received?
No.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, then we'll jump in. The first thing, as we just made the adjustment for, was the interviews. So I spoke to the mayor earlier, actually last week now. She reached out, she had reviewed the applications that we'd received so far. There was 3 total. She mentioned that she was not necessarily liking any one of them particularly, and would rather wait until we received a few more to see if we can get either better applications or more complete applications in. So we decided to hold off on doing the interviews this week. We're gonna maybe give it a couple more months. I think Jacob's already reopened the vacancy online. So if you do know people that you think would be a good fit and interested in applying, please share that with them. If you need help finding it, please reach out to the normal renewal cycle. We can do that as well. So any questions with that? Okay. Next up then is approval of the strategy document. I'll stop sharing now. You all should have received a copy of the strategy document as well from earlier this week. The only changes that have occurred since the last meeting was basically the executive summary being added, and a few formatting updates, no other editorial changes. I'll see if there's any further comments or questions on the document that was passed out. No? Rebecca, anything from your side? Nope, okay. If that's the case, then I'd like to see if anyone would like to make a motion to approve the strategy document.
I'll move to approve the strategy document.
Thank you, Kristen. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Oh, thank you, Alexis. Okay. Any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say the same. Okay. Strategy document is approved. Thank you, everyone. That was a piece of work that took a long time to come to fruition, but how I plan to implement it going forward is, as part of our agenda, I will structure the agenda based, the discussion portion of the agenda based on the goals. So under each goal, as we start to discuss different topics, it'll reference whether or not, which objective it's tied to. So we can keep kind of a tally of, making sure we're touching everything as we're moving forward over the next few years. And then if there's anything that stands out from the strategy document, it'll just be in its own section. So that's kind of how I've normally done strategy going forward, is just to keep it constant in our minds. Okay. We'll also, just so everyone knows, we'll have it go into effect July 1st so that it fits in with the biennium. So it'll be 1 year until the next biennium, and then after that, 2 more bienniums. So it'll cover the next 2.5 bienniums. Okay. Next up, Railroad Avenue. So this is going to be in a couple different parts that I wanted to break this down into. The first part being the covenant, which for those here, there is a copy of what the covenant looks like in the packet that Ann put together. Essentially what this document is doing is it's replacing the easement form within the Mural Code program. It's been drafted by Oregon City Legal Counsel. And it basically outlines the terms of the mural with the artist, so that the city itself is protected if it was to ever sell the property in the future, if there was ever damage done to the mural, it outlines who's responsible. So it kind of fills in the role of the easement by taking and defining those terms. But it's different enough that we can file with the county, because the city wouldn't be able to file an easement on its own property with the county, which it needs to do as part of the process. So I'll stop there, see if there's any questions on this document.
So just this question, this document would also apply to the other mural we're talking about doing on Railroad Ave?
Yes, we would have to do this same covenant for that as well.
Great, thanks for doing the legwork on this one.
Yeah. Yeah. In addition to the document itself, you'll see two exhibits at the end. One is a legal description of the property that requires a survey of the property. So someone will come out, they'll identify, the perimeter of it and put that into a format that is common for legal filings. And then on the back side, will be a description of the artwork itself, which we have already. So with this document being finished now, the next step is that legal counsel will be sharing it with the city manager, and the city manager will have the ability under the municipal code to approve it. So it doesn't have to go to any other, formal approval process than that. And then once the survey is completed and it's turned in, this document is signed, the application piece of it will be completed. So that's.
I thought that legal counsel said that the Arts Commission could approve tonight pending the 45. So it could actually be approved tonight, therefore be approved before the work begins. And then just know that it would actually become official with the pending legal description.
Yeah, so with this, signing this and getting the survey done will be what is required to complete the application. Because the project wants to begin, they're aiming to begin the project on July 6th, before our next meeting. We have the legal counsel has stated, as Ann pointed out, that we can go ahead and approve the application conditionally and give them a certain period of time to turn in the final paperwork to us. And if that doesn't happen, then we would essentially rescind the approval of the application, and then we would go back and wait until they have finished the paperwork to approve it again.
Josh.
Yeah, I'm getting that. I'm trying to go in steps.
Just kind of.
So, my recommendation is, and this is partially because once we approve the application, we really don't have any enforcement side of the Arts Commission. We're kind of a little bit reliant on other people getting everything into us. My recommendation would be, if we go and approve the application conditionally tonight, we also send a letter to the Enhancement Grant Committee stating that final payment out of the grant that is being used to pay for this mural be withheld until final paperwork is all turned in to us. I've talked to the mayor and she seemed open to the idea and suggested this process of informing the Enhancement Committee. And then at the end of the, say, 45 days, if we don't have it, we would have a special meeting with the Enhancement Grant Committee to decide on how we want to handle next steps. Given that they have control of the funds, we want to just work with them since they have the ability to withhold if things aren't completed. Any questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So my question is around the timing. So like if they're going to start, let's just say things go, worst case scenario is they don't ever complete the final application for it, but they're starting on July 6th when we're giving them till August 2nd to get everything in. So we could end up with like a half complete mural or a partially, right? If they're,
We could end up where, yes, if they don't turn in the application and the mural's not completed by August 2nd, I would believe it would be if they start on July 6th, but it could take them longer. But if they don't have it done yet, and they refuse to continue working on it, then it would be our job to come in and figure out with the enhancement grant how we want to use the remainder of the funds to finish the project, right?
Or they could have it done by then, but not get paid.
But not get paid, correct. And that's kind of why I wanted to have this letter and this process of assurance go with it, because my concern was more that they'd finish it before the August 2nd deadline. And I think actually originally the lawyer was suggesting 3 months, which would have been way more than enough time to finish the mural. If they finished it before the August 2nd and then just never turned in the paperwork, we don't have, and got paid out, we would have no way to go back to them and force them to turn in the paperwork
Right.
as an arts commission.
I mean, just to clarify, we're actually not waiting on Soul Flags to do anything at this point. I mean, when they began the process, they were told that they weren't going to need an easement because it was a city-owned property. Through further investigation, the city worked with legal counsel that came up with this covenant document. So the process that the legal description is going to come. Right now, city staff is working to get a contractor in place. So it's not, I want to just be clear that we're not waiting on Soul Flags to
They
do
haven't done
something.
any, they're not
They haven't
holding it
done
up.
anything incorrect, they haven't done
Right.
anything wrong. We are going through the process of making sure that the legal instrument to protect the wall and to continue to ensure the ongoing existence and the protection of the mural is in place. We've received one bid for between $1,500 and $2,000 to do the work of producing the legal description that will be attached to the covenant when it gets recorded with the Clackamas County.
This Exhibit A or whatever.
Yeah.
Right,
Okay.
right. So I had actually suggested to Josh that we have a conversation tonight and think about contributing some of Arts Commission funds to that $2,000 cost, because it was not a cost that Soul Flags had initially anticipated. I'm not, we could make some kind of contribution towards that. That's just an idea.
The city doesn't pay for it.
Well,
The city wouldn't necessarily pay for it because it's not really, the only reason they're doing it is because of the mural. So it's kind of, it's being incurred because the project was approved by the enhancement grant and is moving forward. So I don't know if the city would take it out of general funds or out of some other account, and brought up the fact that the Arts Commission could contribute to it. I'm not necessarily a fan of that, because I think it sets a couple things. I think it sets a precedent for us to pay for that going forward for others when we aren't necessarily involved in the project. It's not a mural that we commissioned or anything like that. I also hesitate a bit because I don't know, and we haven't ran this past legal, but if we pay for it, do we not in some way become part of the application itself, which means we as an Arts Commission can't approve the application, which is what the municipal code states, that if we're the applicant, it has to go to the city commission for approval.
Right.
So, yeah, those are the kind of the reasons I hesitate. In addition to the 2,000 that Ann spoke about for the survey, the city has also decided it won't pay for the cleaning of the wall, which I believe Soul Flags was under the impression that they would do. So there's an additional potential cost of about $3,000 to clean the wall. The city has offered graciously to allow the cleaner to use city water for that, but they won't have Public Works come out and do the work. So there's some additional costs here. However, the full grant, I believe, was for $46,000 or $48,000. It was a very large grant. And I understand that that's difficult when new costs show up and you weren't expecting them. However, I don't think that it necessarily falls on us to pay for that. That's my opinion. I'm happy to hear what others think and you know, what they would suggest we do, so.
Yeah, along the lines of what you're saying, we're the sort of administrative body, right? We have a checklist to make sure that everything is done properly, and that's our role. And it sounds like the city, through no fault of anybody, but the city gave the incorrect advice in both of these cases, not us. So, it does set a precedent, and I just feel hesitant, like you're doing as well, that's not, we didn't do anything. We're just here to make sure that everything is checked off. And that if the city would like to contribute, then that would be great.
In terms of precedent setting, because clearly I've got murals in the brain, right, y'all? So for the cleaning, is the city never going to clean any of the city-owned structure
Yeah.
wall? If we, the Arts Commission, are doing it, like, we just have to think about budgeting, and if we have to do a Exhibit A for every single mural, like, that's a long strip on Railroad Avenue that we've kind of thought about making our primary spot. If we're gonna have to do that for every single one, a $3,000 cleaning and a $2,000 survey, that's $5,000 a pop. And if we are running the murals out of there, like, that's a big chunk out of a budget,
Yeah,
you know?
good, yeah.
So I just wanted to confirm, yes, the enhancement grant that Solflex got was 46,000, that's correct. And I think in some portion of that was gonna go to Anna the artist. And then they're also paying for their application fees, the permit fees to do the work.
How much is the artist being paid?
I don't know, I can't recall.
Isn't it in your application?
I'll look and see. I think
Okay.
it might be 30 of the 46.
That's what I thought. I thought there was a real comfortable
So,
margin.
it may be possible to find someone to do the, so two things to what you just said, Alex, is, typically the work to do the legal description isn't as expensive as this particular case. We can use a deed that goes with the building. So for example, you know, when we hear from the owner of the Elevate Capitol building next month, he tends to use the deed to his building to act as the legal description. So, you know, so there will not be a significant cost incurred there. The city did clean the wall for the DC La Tourette mural. We were able to work with the Parks Department and clean the wall using city resources. That's not an option in this case. But, you know, so that it shouldn't anticipate that that's always going to be a cost. If it's not a city wall, though, I think it makes sense for the person sponsoring the mural to assume that responsibility.
Right, no, that's the city wall thing that I'm more concerned about. That Railroad Avenue is just a huge stretch that we are thinking about.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts or comments?
No, that's a good train of thought, yeah.
So it doesn't help this time, but going forward, do we provide any sort of budgeting template along with the application to say, here's some additional costs you should consider?
Yes, so I think this goes back to some of our earlier conversations. Rebecca worked hard on an initial, update to the mural code based on on the mural program guidelines based on the mural code changes. I think now that we know this piece of it as well, this will have to get incorporated into that, and then we need to come back and figure out, how do we message this appropriately? We don't want anyone to be caught off guard by these costs. And the survey we're doing with the covenant this time, we've been told that it's likely going to be, the legal description likely is going to be required for the easements going forward as well. So on a private building, they would, if we're doing an easement on that, they'd still have to provide some sort, and that's why Ann was saying, like, the deed will kind of say it, so if they already have that, then it's easy. If they don't, then it could require additional services to be required, so,
And for this one, like, I still don't know what the answer would be, like, if we did provide any sort of funds to this, we then become a piece of it, but if we could establish some sort of hardship pool grant
Yeah,
that
yeah.
people could apply to and then keep us separate? No? Okay.
No, I mean, I think what we could do, and this is kind of what we did with the refurbishments, is we can always grant some money to, say, the economic developments, and they can decide whether or not, a piece of art requires, some supplementary things to get done. And as long as they're controlling it, then it keeps us at arm's length. That's how we got through the refurbishment murals, is they technically held the funds and approved that piece of it. But in this case, I feel it's a little more direct because we would have to approve the budget now. And we know exactly which mural is going for. It's not a random mural that we have no say in right now. It's whether or not to basically fund this one.
If I may.
Yeah.
One option to move forward with to sort of, I think mic's on.
Is it? Okay, just making sure.
One option to move forward with for tonight would be to consider what is in front of you.
Mhm.
Evaluate and make a decision on what's in front of you, and then at your next meeting, make a determination whether or not you want to provide additional funding. So you are evaluating it without consideration of funds tonight, and then you can, after the document is approved,
Yeah, we basically.
move forward later and revisit it later.
Yeah. The one thing with that is if they need the funding to get the power washing done, I don't know if they need it beforehand or if they have enough cash on hand to pay for that and then expense it back later. That would be my only question. But yeah.
Have they asked us to pay for it?
Ann's been the one that's basically has asked or brought it up as an option to me. And, again, I also pointed out that while I can be sympathetic to, unexpected costs and stuff, it's common practice in a lot of, I feel like, public art projects or construction projects, or even in event planning, which I do, there's contingency fund, and you always do, a standard like 10%, knowing that things can pop up on you and you can, you can't foresee everything. So anticipating this, while maybe not this high of numbers, is not unreasonable either. It would fall with just a little over 10% of their grant funds that they receive. So, yeah.
Is there any way that we could be sent their application so that we would have these numbers? So that if we think that the artist is being paid 30 and we're still looking at a cushion of 1,600 at that point, it sounds like there is wiggle room and that was contingency based.
Yeah, I know they're updating their budget based on some more recent numbers, and that was requested by the Enhancement Grant Committee. I don't know if they've finished that yet. That was just earlier this week. So, yeah.
Could we be getting that, Ann?
Yeah, in fact, I think the enhancement grant application, well, I know that their mural application is on the shared drive. And I can make sure y'all get a copy of their enhancement grant application if you look.
I didn't see a budget. I saw their plans, but I didn't see how much.
I think you're right. I think the enhancement grant, if I remember correctly, and it's been a minute since I've looked at it, but the enhancement grant application, I don't think included that breakdown.
Well, and if I may, it is the applicant's responsibility to identify their budget, their ability to provide a cushion, whether or not they have any overhead as an organization that is needed. And so that's where I might make the suggestion of consider what is before you tonight. And if they want to come back and make a formal request for additional funds, that is something that can be worked with Anne to bring back before you. Right now, we're talking in concepts and in nothing that has formally been requested at this point in time, it sounds like.
Wow.
So I want to recognize that we have lots of ifs, ands, or buts right now, but do we have an actual request or proposal in front of us in writing?
Nothing in writing. Everything's been word of mouth through Ann to me
Right.
suggesting that we might be willing to give some funds to it. So that's what I wanted to just bring up and address.
Right, because at one point, it was, Soul Flags was, the Economic Development Department did communicate with Soul Flags that there would be no cost to them to, have the wall be painted. That was something that that James had represented to them. And then as I came and said, okay, city, now we're gonna step up and make this happen, it's been a little more, complicated. But we'll get there.
Okay.
Has the city been approached about kicking in some of these funds?
Yes.
Was that positively received?
No, Public Works has been good, as Josh said, they're making arrangements so that the contractor can plug into the spigot and access public water. So the city's being very cooperative, it's just,
Good,
it's,
all right.
cannot be done entirely with city resources.
Based on what you've put forward here, Josh, like, I like this plan. I think that it gives us like a little bit of a backbone to make sure that we're doing what Amy said, which is our role, which is like just making sure everything is checked on the boxes. And this letter helps explain that to the Enhancement Grant Committee. And it, yeah, and Soul Flags right now is they're just operating on trying to like get this done too. So it's like my only concern is I don't want them to think that we don't think that they're gonna get it done, right? Like, So, but we have to also make sure that we're covering our own bases.
Yeah, no, I mean, when I was writing this letter, my feeling was they're gonna get it done. However, if they get it done and then don't get the paperwork in time, then we're kind of,
We have no leverage.
we have no leverage at that
And
point.
then the city's not protected and the art's not protected and the whole thing.
So, and I honestly, I doubt that, they won't turn everything in. It's just a matter of, making sure we still do have some type of assurance. So lower the risk on our side. So with that, and given the feedback from Kelly, I would ask if anyone is comfortable making a motion to approve the application for the Soul Flags mural on Railroad Avenue, contingent upon a completion of the paperwork and survey within 45 days from today, and submission back to the Arts Commission. And simultaneously, I, as chair, can send work with Ann to send the letter to the chair of the Oregon City Enhancement Grant Committee for them to consider.
So I would be pleased to make that motion, and the contingent is, I mean, this is interesting, because it's cart before horse. We're assuming that the Enhancement Grant Committee will agree to this. And we don't know that they will, and we're ready to say this, so I would say absolutely contingent upon the details outlined in your letter, where they have 45 days to complete paperwork. Otherwise, we have the right to revoke.
Yes, we would have the right to revoke regardless. It's once we revoke, there's not anything else we can do, and if it's already painted and they're paid, then they have no.
No, it's true. So no, we have the right to revoke, but we have a right to insist that the second tranche of payments.
Or right to request.
Yeah.
Right to request.
That's the most leverage we have.
Yeah. Well, I feel sorry for the secretary having worded that, but that
So, wait, Amy, you've made a motion, correct? Okay, Amy made a motion. Paperwork completed within 45 days. Is there a second?
I second.
Joyce, thank you. Any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say the same. Okay, motion is approved. Thank you, everyone. If a formal request does come in for funding later, we'll bring it up at the next meeting. And I'll work offline with you on delivering this letter to the Enhancement Grant Committee. Now I just find my agenda to go on to the next item. And you wanted to bring up to the Public Help Paint the Mural event on July 11th.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure people were aware of the July event. So as we know, Soul Flags intends to begin the mural on July 6th. And on July 11th, they're inviting members of the public to come paint. So there's a flyer in everybody's, and I left flyers at the front of the room. That's going to be a paint by number activity. And people have the opportunity to, and we're putting an article in the July Trail News also to invite people to the public to come down and be part of the creation of this mural, which is really fun.
Thanks, Ann. Okay, so next up is the Oregon City Arts Commission bylaw updates. So let me share my screen again. So this is, as some of you will recall, I believe it was in end of last year, after we finalized the municipal code, proposed changes to the city commission, we also finalized some updates to the bylaws, or not finalized, we finished reviewing some updates to the bylaws. In January, February, I can't remember exactly when, the city commission did another review of the municipal code, made some suggested changes, which legal counsel implemented, and then that changed version is what was approved and put in the municipal code as of April. Going back to the bylaws, which we hadn't ratified yet at that point, the updates, there were some changes that already needed to happen due to the changes that happened in the municipal code so that they aligned and nothing was out of order. At that time, I took the liberty to make a few other suggested changes to the text, which I've summarized at the very beginning of the bylaws here, and I'm happy to review through each of those so that everyone's aware of what's proposed. I'm not asking for approval tonight on this. I want to give everyone a chance to look at the edits. If you're comfortable with them, if you want to change things back, if you want to change things a little bit more or much more, we can do that. We, as an Arts Commission, do have the ability to approve our bylaws now without further approval from the city commission. So what we want in here, we can put in here, but just wanted to set that stage. I'll briefly walk through these proposed changes and feel free to stop me if you have questions. So the first one is clarifying the role of the Arts Commission and should be focused on the citizens of Oregon City. So in the original, or in the updated bylaws from last winter, there was several references to supporting artists and things like that. And while the Arts Commission is very in favor of being helpful to artists in any way, shape, or form, our ultimate goal is to the Oregon City community. And so we updated the language a bit there to be more focused on that, on the community-driven aspects of public art versus the artists. Not saying that we won't do everything in our power to, help artists and, making things better for artists, because that helps art in Oregon City in general. We didn't want to necessarily make it a focus of the bylaws. Stop there, because that was probably the most important change we made. Okay. And then there was some changes in the composition and term language within the municipal code 2.26. So those were changed in the bylaws to make them the same. So instead of a percentage, it was actual numbers, which the city commission wanted more than a percentage. So that change has been made. We updated the language under the proposed purpose of the Arts Commission to be clearer and more concise about the role. This was something Rebecca kind of worked on the language with. She's been doing a lot of this around the website, so she had a lot more just understanding of the language we're using in other places, so she did the proposals, changes to that, to bring it all into concise format. We cleaned up the language around the powers and duties. Again, this was part of the changes that happened in the municipal code, so we aligned those. We did some few updates to the guidelines around absences and resignations. So one thing that Rebecca and I wanted to make sure was, if you end up needing to resign from your post on the Arts Commission, that any materials that you have that are, you know, working documents or source files for things that we ultimately approved or reviewed, if those could be provided to Anne, just to make sure we have copies of everything, because we don't want to get 10 years down the road and realize we don't have a editable version of some document that we might need to review again or reuse. So there's a few little process things like that that we implemented there, communicating to, you know, the chair and Anne when you're absent, kind of thing, just reminders. Again, modification of the Arts Commission responsibilities, that's tied to the municipal code changes. We ended up removing the term limit for officers. And that one was something that I kind of pushed for when we originally were doing updates. Ultimately, I think the group kind of was in the mindset of not doing that, of limiting them. However, I do feel there is a benefit to giving ourselves the flexibility. If, say, someone is chairing or vice chair or secretary and no one else wants to step up, we would be limited in basically appointing someone who would be maybe willing to do that, continue that role. So we'll still do elections every year. We'll still do, you know, kind of a policy of, you know, if you're done it once, you know, give others a chance, but we didn't want to limit our ability or flexibility there in appointing people.
Not all of us were opposed to that.
Okay. One other item, I did remove the financial procedure section. I think what I would like to ultimately see that is placed in a separate document that covers more than just what was in the bylaws, so that it gives us a lot more procedural and kind of ins and outs with the financial things. And, you know, it'll be tied to if we get a donation program going, if we get, you know, more grants going, what is the process around that with working with the financial department. There was an addition that we make it so that this bylaws has to get approved by the city commission if amended in the future, because we don't currently require that and we're not required to have that. I did remove that. And then last thing was, there was a 12-month period of eligibility for commissioners requesting grants from the Oregon City Arts Commission after they step down from their position. Because we're such a small community and we want people from the art community to participate in the Arts Commission, if you step down, we felt it was a little harsh to not be eligible for one whole year to come back and say, you know, you have grants going, we'd like to apply, but because they've been out of it for, you know, less than a year, they are ineligible. So we did remove that piece as well. So those are all the changes. Happy to take feedback, questions, comments, suggestions. Again, I'm not looking to approve this. I want everyone to have more time to review these changes and think about them.
Would you like feedback and time to approve them next month?
Yeah, if you want to send feedback in, send it to Anne and myself, and I can make proposed changes to the red line version.
And then we'll vote next month.
And then we can vote next month. Unless if there's really significant changes, I might hold it off one more month, or if we don't have a lot of people. I know summertime gets busy for people. So. questions, comments? Okay, moving through this agenda. Okay, Oregon City Art Commission Mural RFQ update. I will stop sharing.
It's supposed to be me and Amanda. She bailed on me. No, she has having something going on personally. And apologies, we had hoped to get this to Anne early enough for her to send out to everyone, but Amanda did not do that. So she knows that she didn't do it in time. I'm not calling her out publicly. So we have a new version.
Okay.
That has been done. And Amanda measured the wall and the sections. So the question, so if we can get some things answered tonight, I can get this dialed in more to be able to look at it
Okay.
and approve it next month. Rebecca sent me a lot of feedback that I was able to incorporate in. So I think we're getting very, very close. But the question is really about the space. So the size of the space. Where did I put that? I don't know. Rebecca's recommendation was to keep it like under 160 square feet. And this was working backwards math from how much of a commission we're going to be giving and how much you averagely pay an artist per square foot, kind of a thing. So if we want to keep it at $20,000, we shouldn't make it be a 300-foot mural, right? So so when she measured it out, there's the problem that we had in our minds that we all wanted to do was like that end of that triangle to the light post. When we looked on Google Maps, but that's pretty far. It's farther than she anticipated and was surprised by. So she's got kind of three options outlined here that we could do, because the total square footage of that whole thing, that triangle, is 262 square feet to get from the edge of the triangle
262
to the light post.
You're talking north of the elevator.
Yes. So if you did the triangular section on the base of it, just go 60 feet over on it and then up, that makes the total square footage 180 square feet.
What were you shooting for? What was your first number?
160.
160, okay.
Another option that she thought could work would be that if you do the rectangular section from the light post over to where it stops being a rectangle and starts being a triangle, that's about a 30-foot base over there. But what I remembered everyone saying in the meeting when we talked about this last time was that we really like the triangle section, like the uniqueness of that was like what we were hoping that an artist would be inspired by and play on. Mm-hmm. So I would recommend that we do the triangular section over. It just isn't going to be as far over as we thought to the light post, or we increase the budget.
Yeah, so there's two options there: increase budget or adjust the size of the.
I mean, 60 feet is 60 feet from the corner of the triangle over. I mean, that's still pretty. It's pretty big. I mean, it does obviously get narrower.
Well, I guess one little thought I have on that is, what if we did 60 feet from the post over, and then the last little bit of the triangle, could we just paint that like just a solid color, just to make it look nice? Not just unfinished, but just a solid color to kind of almost frame it in a little bit. I don't know.
Cap it off.
I'm not sure if that will look as good.
It wouldn't look good. It would probably negatively impact the design that we'd pay someone to put on there.
Unless we ask them to incorporate that into the design somehow, so it didn't look out of place, but it would be an easy, just roll on some, gray paint kind of thing there. But
I don't like it as much.
But then I'm just thinking, because then you're gonna put 160 feet, I don't know how much is left between where that 160 feet ends from the corner to that post, and so you're just gonna have a strip there that's gonna look a little odd if you did that.
Well, is that what you measured that became 262 square feet?
So I didn't go measure. I was in New York. Amanda measured. So I'm reading what she put into the proposal, but I I don't have an eyewitness account from,
Because that is option one on here.
Is to,
She's got the three that you were.
oh, you printed this out for everyone? And,
Yes.
oh, great, sorry, I thought only I had it.
So,
This was not emailed to you all, so I didn't expect everyone
no,
to,
page 2 at
yeah.
the top is what she's talking about.
It's a 60-foot triangle over at the base. It makes the total square footage. I mean, I guess the other theory too is that we could present artists with multiple options and then they could select as long as it's within the same square footage amount for parity of pay.
That would be very complicating.
Okay,
I'd rather have just one standard.
okay.
I think it helps them to have, I don't know. I've never done painted mural, so I don't know, but I would assume that it'd be easier to know exactly what I'm painting. The wall
It's
dimensions.
good to have guidelines.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm tempted, I wish she was here. I mean, because if option one is what we asked for, then to me, an easy thing would be to increase the budget if we were willing to do that. And if we're not willing to increase the budget, we want to keep it where it's at, it seems like option two.
And Rebecca had, I don't know, Rebecca, if you
Rebecca?
have off the top of your head what the numbers that you emailed me about, like best practices for costs per square foot.
No.
Okay, hold on, I'm fine, I'm looking at your email.
It's a quiz, Rebecca, it's a quiz.
I'm getting it. Okay, you say that the standard rates for professional outdoor murals typically range from $25 to $50 per square foot. So, 25 to $50.
Yes. Elevator, moon trap, triangle.
So if you did 25 times 262, that's $6,550. Right? Am I doing this math right? $25 per square foot, so 262. And you said up to 50?
Mm-hmm.
So if we did 50, it'd be about 12,000, 13,000.
Yeah, 13.1. That's under 20.
But we also maintain that we also have the budget says that it needs to cover equipment rental, so they
Yeah.
might have to get lifters scaffolding, plus insurance, permits, materials, travel, lodging. So like that 20 was the whole budget, not just the artist fee.
Yeah. And then if you include now the survey and the power washing,
Right.
I mean, let me bring up here, I've got the budget numbers in front of me. This might help kind of shed some light on where we currently stand. Oh, I hate having to allow it every time. Okay, so. The one in red, that's a cancellation, so we originally had approved $200 in April. Travel Oregon City was kind enough not to make us pay this time. They said next time we can cover it, and I'm okay with that. We can discuss it as we get closer to the next meeting. The 20,000 Railroad Avenue was this project. We talked about just about 2,500 for the sidewalk chalk art competition, and then 15,000 was our contribution to the enhancement grant for the lamprey statue. What we have left over still for this biennium, which we have to spend by next June, so we're about a year away, so we're in good timing. We have about almost 29,000 left.
And
So-
you've already put in the 20.
and I've already put in the 20.
Well, we're not doing the sidewalk chalk thing, right?
Yeah.
So we,
Well, not to the extent that it was, but yeah.
oh, I thought we weren't doing it.
We're not doing the competition, but we talked about maybe getting an artist in to do, some type of,
Oh, the
I haven't gotten
time
back to
lapse
you yet.
on the, okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we haven't decided exactly how that works, how that'll look. So you can maybe even ignore, I'll delete that just for the sake here since we haven't even approved it.
Okay.
So So $31,244 roughly is what we have left that we have not allocated to anything yet. So honestly, I'm of the mindset, option one, increase the budget to cover these additional proposed expenses, make sure the artist gets paid at a decent rate, all of that for the entire length. And I think it'll be a great piece all in one.
So that does leave $7,000, or just under, 6,900. If the cost for going rate at 50, not the low end, if we're
Yeah,
at the
at
high
50.
end, that's 13,100.
For the artist, yeah.
So we're looking at equipment rental, and I mean, could we estimate what these costs are?
Well, we know there's it's gonna be $5,000 to get the Exhibit A, $2,000, and a cleaning for $3,000, right? Rough.
Well, and their wall's bigger, so it might not cost us $3,000 for the power washing either. I think that might be high end.
Right.
Gosh, guys, am I the only one in my head going, I could bring my power washer? I mean, it's not
I
hard.
thought of it too. I was like,
It's not hard.
me and my dad could bust that in the
That's
day.
what, I mean.
But we had to tie into city water. We don't have the means of doing it otherwise. Also,
Yeah.
If I may, as the wet blanket of the city here, that is on a public right of way. We would not want volunteers to be doing that without having a coordination
yeah,
with the city.
no,
Yeah.
I understand that. I'm just saying,
Okay.
I'm like, it's not that big of a wall. What
It
do you think?
cannot be $3,000. I mean, we're in the wrong business if somebody is gonna charge $3,000.
I will say that he was planning to rent, like 700 of that was the rental of a scissor lift.
Oh, and this one
For
doesn't,
And that one doesn't need a scissor lift, right? So
yeah,
Yeah,
this
probably
one won't
won't need one.
need, this is just your father sneaking in at night. And, you know,
wait a second.
I'm just,
No,
but I mean, it's not
let's
hard.
put it on the record. Me and my father will not be power in the middle of the night.
If I may, just as a outsider looking at this for the very first time and listening to you all talk about it and me getting my head completely confused through the whole thing, might I make a suggestion that the options 1, 2, and 3 are described well for your all's clear vision of the property, but for individuals who may not have that, maybe having a picture?
Yeah, I just made a
yeah.
little note, put a photo in here.
Yeah, and sort of identify the 3 different phases and what it looks like, or if you guys are planning on funding it, still just provide a picture of this is the area that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, I agree with you. And yeah, a picture and actually something that marks from here to here in the
Some
picture.
blue tape that, you know, a professional would put out. You know, just to, well, so that they would get it.
Oh, yeah. So again, that was I'm leaning towards option 1. I don't know if others
Yes,
have
very
different
much so.
feelings about option 2 and 3.
I like option 1 too, and so then what should we increase the budget by?
Well, I think we need to start running numbers. I think we need to figure $50 per square foot, put a contingency in, put in about 5,000 for cleaning and the survey,
How much was the survey?
about 15 to $2,000.
This is gonna be less because it's smaller, were you saying, or?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay.
It's just that I've gotten one quote from one contractor.
Got it. Okay, so
Other
I'm just gonna-
I don't know what materials cost.
We
Paint.
can go back and look at what because that's in the Railroad Avenue, the other one. Didn't she provide all the
South.
paints and stuff in the?
I wasn't on
Oh.
the commission then.
See, that's why we need that breakdown of costs.
Do you have that? Can you send it to me? Okay.
Although it might be part of, I mean, sometimes you'll have a bid that includes your costs and materials. Right, right.
Yeah.
And there's like permits and insurance too? I don't know what those costs are.
Yeah, I think
Is
Ian
that
can help
in-
get what permit fees would be, and we would probably need to, again, that would probably be why we want to contingency with it, but we, that area is a little bit wider, where the Soul Flags one is, I know theirs is expensive too, because I think they're closing down the parking there. And so they're gonna have to pay for the lost revenue of those spaces not having being available for cars. We wouldn't have to pay for that, but I don't know, because we're more on the road, they're on a sidewalk, if that's gonna be, offset it, so,
Do street closures cost money in Oregon City?
oh, yeah.
Like,
Both sides.
And that's a particularly busy street, so.
how much does that?
I'm not certain.
I don't-
It will be certain. It depends on how many days and length of time but there will be some fee, I think.
And again, that's a pretty wide section of that road, just north of the elevators where it's the tightest, and then it widens as it kind of goes down.
Yeah.
You get past the furniture store.
You get past the furniture store and it starts to open up a little bit more. So it might not be a full road closure, it might just be, safety,
Cones.
safety cones and all that kind of stuff.
Do you have estimates on that, Anne, like off the top of your head or from,
Not off the top of my head, but I can, I will talk to Public Works. I know
Okay.
It's,
great.
Okay, so Ann is gonna get us a cost for the survey, cost for the permits, cost for insurance.
Anne's just gonna send me the enhancement, the application from Soul Flags,
Right.
and then get the cost for the road closure stuff, and I can build out a budget
Okay,
from there,
all right,
no
all
problem.
Fantastic.
Okay,
Well, and then again, it's smaller, so the cleaning, will be less.
right, and we don't have to rent a lift.
Right. Yeah.
We shouldn't have to.
Okay, so that was a question. My thing was like, are we cleaning or not? We're not. Great. And then the one last question I have, we talked about this, but it didn't get into my notes. When do we want to ideally get this in front of the city like how much timeline do we want to give them? I think I put that we wanted to get them in front of this commission by early 2027, because we want to start painting in
I think
July.
The earlier the better. What we need to come with is a full proposal and everything else in order. So if we have all the numbers on the cleaning, the surveying, the permitting, broken down costs, the artists selected, we know what they're gonna be paid. We know if we need to pay for, them to actually come into town and stay somewhere for a few days during the process, all of that. Once we have all that, we have everything written up, what it's gonna look like, designs, all that. Yeah, I think earlier the better. So if we can pull it into December or even November, that would be great. But more likely, you're right, it's probably gonna be early 2027.
Okay, I can work backwards from that.
Again, I'd like to ask mural artists, I mean, I think you budget for these things. I think you budget if you need to pay to stay somewhere. I don't think that you expect that that's an additional cost.
That's part of the budget and the budget parameters that we put into
Yeah.
here was that those.
So I wouldn't consider that those are extra things. I think that if by going at the high end of $50, that should incorporate all of these externalized fees.
Rebecca, do you recall if the numbers you gave that included, an expectation that they would cover their costs for hotel and,
No, that was just the artist labor. Their
Okay.
design, the labor, the painting, all of it. But the rental, extra things had their own budget line item. If I remember correctly, now this was over a month ago, so.
I've got your email, I have your email pulled up, Rebecca, and you thought that the professional pay rate for the artist is $25 to $50 an hour. So we have that rate easily, but I just need to build out all these other line items so that we can make sure that we're paying the total amount to the artist so that they deal with all of that, right? We aren't gonna be
I'm gonna check with
filing
a couple artists on this and just see.
the permit.
and you might be right. What I'm saying is we shouldn't take the 13 as we should estimate a little bit more than that 13 to cover that kind of stuff, if that's what they're gonna come back and bid at,
Well, I mean, I think we have to figure out whatever that number is, and if we had 20, I'm still going, gosh, that seems like, enough to cover this stuff, but maybe not.
Yeah, maybe not. I mean, but we don't need the budget, I think, right when we start the RFQ process. We want to give them some numbers for sure, but we don't need every permit line item yet. What we can do once we get the bids in, understand what the artists will be asking for, and then we get the permits and stuff, we can tie all that into a finalized budget, right?
But what, my understanding was that we say, we pick an artist, they say, everyone's selected, we write them a check for $20,000 and they pay for all that other stuff, that we don't do that as the art commission. We're not doing the permitting, we're not doing the exhibit A, we're not paying for the cleaning or organizing that. Because otherwise, we would just pay the artist $13,000 and then the arts commission would do it. I don't think we want to do all that. We want them to take it and run. But we want to give them a healthy enough budget that they can pay themselves well and also buy all their supplies and do all that.
If you have somebody make a deck, you're not just going, what's your hourly labor rate? They have all the materials and everything in the bid as well. That's their business.
Well, okay, fair enough. I mean,
I just want to get those numbers so that we make sure that we're like, so that the artist isn't walking away only being able to take $5,000 because it costs $15,000 in materials and permits and cleaning, all that. We want to make sure that everything is balanced on our, and how, if they decide to get their paint from Metro Paint versus Sherwin-Williams, that's on them, right? Like however they want to do it.
well, yeah, and, the one thing I will say though is that I don't know if every artist would consider like the survey being part of their bid, because that seems like,
Artists, professional artists, absolutely.
We can put it in.
No, they always do. I'm thinking of sculptural artists, always have to get permits, always have to.
well, the permits, but a survey is different than a permit.
Survey's a little different, and we can add that to this RFQ so that they know ahead of time.
Yeah,
And
What
cleaning.
she's asking for makes sense to me. It's like, okay, if it's really true that $50 an hour is not supposed to cover this other stuff, then we have to figure out what some of it is, add to it. So we either say 20 is fine, or it needs to be 25. But
Right.
it's all on them.
Yeah.
okay. I mean, we can leave it at 20 for now, and then if we get bids in and none of them are
Yeah.
lower than that, they all saying, and they have evidence of that, they have it lined out that this is what it's gonna actually cost.
An artist will tell you it will never be lower.
What?
An artist will tell you they will never be lower. If you're offering 20, they'll take 20. And we discovered that with the salmon bench.
No, I understand that. What I'm saying, we, in our books right now, in our records, we can kind of estimate about 20 grand for this project. But once we get the bids in, we'll evaluate them and see if we need to increase that based on the numbers that they give us.
Okay, we can increase, it's not gonna decrease, is what I was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we're not getting bids. I'm just going to get some estimates from Ann so we can make sure that the budget is appropriate. We aren't getting bids for, there's no bids.
Well, proposals from the artists, right? Because we're gonna identify artists that have the capabilities for the RFQ, and then we're gonna do an RFP once we select the ones we want to get proposals from, and then they're gonna give us the numbers, right? Is that what I'm understanding?
No, remember that's what the salmon bench did exactly that. When we went back to them afterwards and said, this is exaggerated, because what they do is they take 20,000, they figure, okay, well, I'll put so much on labor and so much on paint, whatever, and we're like, hey, that's crazy for firing time, and that's crazy for that. And you're like, oh, my bad, and reduced it and moved things around, so they're.
I'm not saying we tell them 20,000. I'm not
We
saying.
have to, no, we have to.
We have to tell them something
So-
when we do the process.
They're not gonna bid unless they know what the money is. And
Yeah.
so it's up to us to say 20 or 25, I should
Yeah.
say, for example. And then however they wanna work it out is fine. I was so frustrated with the salmon bench proposal after everything was so fungible and not tied to reality at all. I don't wanna see that anymore.
So,
Don't do it to me. Just tell me that you're gonna spend the 20. I don't make
How it
up.
happens on the back end is on you.
That's right.
okay, so maybe I'm misunderstanding here what you're saying. But you said if we give them a number, they're gonna inflate their numbers until it's at that point.
Well, always.
Yeah,
So they're not bidding against each other like you would for a deck. They're not gonna
Right.
come in under and say, I'm better because look, I'm cheaper. They're always going to back.
It's a grant. It's a $20,000 grant.
Yes.
However they want to spend it is how they want to spend it.
If I may. Sorry.
Yes.
An alternative way for a thought process on this would be for the Arts Commission to identify what you perceive out of your budget is the appropriate value to put towards this project. Identify the items that must be included in the proposal and let the artists respond.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if it's $20,000 that you have identified as a commission, as a willing component, then set it at $20,000 and just make sure that the budget parameters, and that is something that Ann can help with at the end, after this, we're going to have it surveyed. It's going to have to be power washed, right? The RFP, the request for qualifications, is supposed to lay out, this is our world of business that you need to accomplish with this funding source, and you need to rise to the occasion to demonstrate how you're going to do that. And so really, I think at this point, a suggestion would be for you guys to just settle on a number and let the artists respond to it.
The thing that makes me uncomfortable about that is that I don't know enough about what the other hard costs are, and I wouldn't want to put an artist in a situation where they end up making no money because the hard costs were so much that it ate up so much of that $20,000.
So then perhaps I think maybe the next step would be to understanding that you guys want to have a clear understanding of that. We can come back at the next meeting and provide you information about the permit cost to close the road, the permit costs for public works improvements, the permit.
I thought that's where we landed, that you and I were gonna get that.
I think where I got confused was, I thought you were saying, don't give them a number.
Oh, no.
No,
Okay.
give them a number, but we don't need to know their
Don't.
line item breakdown. We just
Okay.
need to know on
What she
our
said
end.
was evidently much more elegant than what I.
So
I was tracking what you were
confused.
saying.
That was on me. So, okay.
I just
so-
wanna make sure that we are being responsible with the fun, on our end.
And we want to make
Yeah.
it reasonable for the artists. We don't want them,
Yeah.
you're right. Because some artists will take a job even if it eats into what their labor rate should be. And we
Right.
don't want them to do that.
No, we wanna
We
be.
have the power.
Yeah.
We have the power.
And the
We have the power.
And now I know, and I've got the timeline, I've got more information on the budget, I'll work with Ann, and
Okay.
I should be able to I'll get photos, and I'll be able to put this all together and get it out to y'all so you can have a chance to review, and then we can vote on it. Because I know I was like, oh, we've got so much breathing room, we're already getting tight again, by trying to get to the Oregon City Commission, and giving the artists enough time for like the RFQ to have breathing room and the RFP to have breathing room and not be on a tight.
So if we approve in July, RFQ goes out, it's open for a month.
6 weeks was
6 weeks?
Rebecca's recommendation.
It's open for 6 weeks. It comes back in, we review it then in October.
No,
No,
she's got it written
September.
down, there's a timeline section on.
Yeah, but it's not complete, so I need to update it.
Okay.
September, we select our artists, we ask for proposals, get them November. I mean, it might be a little tight, but I think we can do it.
it's still doable.
Yeah,
It's totally
if we
still
approve
doable.
next month, I think it's doable. So we just need, the budget aspect of it, make sure we're giving a reasonable figure for them to work towards.
And include the survey and the cleaning and the budget parameters so that I just want to be transparent with everyone about all the things.
Well, as she said, you have a list. Here's the money, here's what we expect.
Yeah.
You will get this, you will have this done, you will whatever.
This is what you have to spend it on. However you break it down is how you break it down.
Perfect.
Okay.
The only thing I've got is you've got the goals to announce the winning artist in early 26.
I know, I just saw that. It's
Did you
27.
mean 27?
Yes.
So that's a big gap from August to January.
Well, but
Because
so-
we have to get it in front of the Oregon City Commission, and we want to give ourselves enough space because they can bump us from meetings, right? That was the
Well,
idea.
I mean, the artists can be selected before then, because what'll happen is we'll do the RFQ, we'll identify a pool of artists. From there, we'll pick maybe 2, 3 that we want to have formal proposals done. We pay them, a small stipend to do that. And then we take those back and we review those and pick which one we want. And then we go back and we put everything together into the application, the covenant, all that stuff. And then that's what we turn over to the city commission. So
So just to follow, and this will help you with your timeline. So, okay, we're expected to launch July. 6-week submission, that's the August. So the closing date is August, but that's just for the RFQ. Then we're gonna put the RFP phase out.
well, hold on though. It wouldn't be August, it would be September, because if it's 6 weeks,
We're already pushed
we're already
out.
past our
Oh.
window. So
I gotta keep pushing it out.
September is when we would get the list of qualified artists.
And the RFP, then we could turn it around right after,
Yeah,
if
we can select the
September
top ones
meeting,
from there and,
we
yeah.
would be able, okay. So then, how long are we gonna do for the RFP process?
And it wasn't,
I mean, I think a month should be fine to
Okay.
turn around. They already would have some sense of the project.
Okay, so
so then we'll select in
October
October.
meeting, okay,
And then we start putting together the application in
And get it,
November.
and put it in November and then get it done by December,
Yeah,
January.
and with a buffer there, a month off, then you're,
Yeah.
so the contract, not the application.
well, yeah, it might be, it might take a second to get the application in with the artist, but it also, just buffer in general of if we decide, oh, we can't really take this out, or if we realize we need to get some more input from other people in the area, I would like to make sure we do an invite when we are selecting the artists out to the neighborhood associations in that area, so that we.
That's us, that's just one.
Two Rivers as well.
Two
Oh,
Rivers.
for real?
Yeah.
That far down?
I think so. No,
Thought it
maybe
was
not,
just-
sorry, okay.
Main Street?
Well, and maybe even like Doka, I'd like to get Doka involved, or, I wanna make sure we do have a little bit of outreach to people that say, hey, we're gonna be putting in a mural, we're gonna be selecting one, if you wanna come in and give us your thoughts.
Okay.
And we should, we're
Community representatives.
community driven, yeah.
Okay, so that will take up November, December, January, February, March. Oh, sorry, so maybe just November and
This
December.
isn't Parks and Rec, I don't think it'll take that long.
Okay, so then we will be ready, goes to announce the winning artist in January of 27?
I think we can announce before then, we're gonna then be giving the application over to the city commission to approve. And as long as they approve it,
Then we can announce.
Okay, good luck. Cannot wait to see how you make this timeline work. The dates are all starting to do this. with
That's
me.
because I had them wrong in here. I'll make it clear. Don't worry. The next draft won't have any red notes to Amanda, and it will all be cleaned up.
Okay,
RFQ in September, RFP in October, finalized contract by November with artist and announced they're selected, and then December finish up the application and turn into the city commission.
To get in front of them for approval.
Okay.
Early 2027.
okay, all right, good.
And then if you're saying a small stipend to several artists to do the
Gotta build that into
RFP,
the budget too.
then
I thought we
that's
said
gonna change that
3.
20,000
Yeah.
to one artist, right? You're gonna have to, there's gonna be there's either something on top of the 20,000 for the additional artists that don't get picked.
There's something on top, yes.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
have to- that's a
so
budget
it would be like,
modification.
say $300 for each of them to put together a proposal.
So it'd be $400 to $600 already on top of that 20
Yeah.
for, yeah.
I was just saying for like your budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're totally right.
I know, I was gonna do a vote on that in this meeting, and I'm like, well, we'll just roll it all up to next meeting.
Yeah.
Budget voting too.
Good catch.
Is that it in terms of the red note?
Yes,
Okay.
I think I feel confident that I can put together a cleaned version of this and get it out to you all.
Did we pick a topic? Am I missing it?
Subject matter for the mural? I thought we were
Didn't I
gonna
put
go
that
with
in
something abstract or.
We punted on that.
I put it in here.
We had discussion,
I
but I
thought I
don't think we
did.
landed on anything.
No.
Project scope. Oh yeah, goal 1 under project scope
Oh,
and goals. Should I make that bolder?
Where are you at?
Project scope and goals, goal 1. Page 1, front page.
yeah.
Should I bring that out more?
I think I just skipped over it.
Oh, right.
We could highlight those, bold those goals as kind of important. But yeah, so create a contemporary mural, or create a complementary mural and a contemporary design that has a theme of nature or celebrating Oregon's bounty. One thought I wanted to throw out there on this, I like the Oregon bounty a lot. However, this week, the Museum of the Oregon Territory was awarded a enhancement grant for a fixed exhibit that is part of their Land and People of the Willamette Valley, and it's called A History Shaped, or actually no, that was the original one, A History Shaped by River exhibit, but they're going to do a permanent one that's called Water Shaped the Land exhibit, and I kind of liked it. My brain was just thinking, if you did that, if you did something tied to essentially that, and then when we did like our QR code to it that kind of linked to, oh, if you're interested in more learning about this, go to Moot, as a way to kind of start connecting the various community aspects and stuff of Oregon City a little bit, was just my thought. But we could probably do the same with the Oregon Bounty. It clicked in my head, like, is there a way we can increase the impact of the mural a little bit in terms of tying it to other things in the city that people could go and see and visit?
The only thing that might be a little tricky is that we talked about as a group wanting, since that Railroad Avenue is so long, is like wanting to have a theme that could go the whole way. So you can have artists do different chunks, but it would
That's
still be
true.
a theme. And if we isolate just that, then it doesn't allow necessarily for that to flow.
I do not remember. I remember talking about these being ideas that people were nodding their heads to. I'm not sure. I liked the idea that it would be abstract. So contemporary, but abstract, and not necessarily needing a theme.
It can be a theme, but it can be done in an abstract fashion,
It could.
like a Picasso kind of thing.
Yeah, you're saying you just want to leave it a little bit more vague so they can kind of have freedom to play with
Decide
it.
what kind of abstract they want, without being tied. And, we could do something if it had to be themed a little bit further on, but just to have that end piece. And then it would be easier if there's a piece that's going to be next to it to communicate better with it instead of.
I guess the thought there is, do you want them tied in any way together as they've been doing? If you're talking like Oregon Bounty being basically a high level topic, and then we do different art styles and stuff, and it connects all the way down.
Like a running
I kind of
theme.
like that a little bit, but I don't. Yeah, to your point, I don't want to necessarily stifle artists from being creative with that. But sometimes putting people in a little bit more of a tight situation, and they have to kind of think their way out of it, is a good way too to create that kind of brainstorming.
It does, it helps me.
If I change it and say like in a contemporary or abstract design, would that help? Okay.
It would help me or for what I was hoping for.
Okay.
And I'm just one person, so it doesn't mean that that's what we get to decide, but I know that when I was thinking about that weird shape, it lent itself to something that would be more abstract. And if you say it's gotta be bounty, is that going to influence it in a negative way instead of?
But I think that gives a lot of like, how am I going to show Oregon Bounty in an abstract
Or nature, I mean.
or nature? Yeah,
That was the other. And I think that the nature theme there was like a number of surveys done in Oregon City and beyond that like nature and the tourism, that was another part. Tourism, like what draws people to Oregon, the number one thing was nature. So since we're in the bylaws I've read, like we're trying to bring tourism in, trying to stick with that too, to demonstrate our commitment to.
yeah.
Well, again, the whole South End, it's gonna be a big, long hunk of nature. So I'm not as concerned that we're leaving nature out.
But Oregon Bounty too does not necessarily mean agriculture either. It could be a lot of things.
Okay, I think we want some bounty, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Just a real quick suggestion on making sure that you're targeting to the right artists in the request for proposal, the request for qualifications title. identify contemporary and abstract as your target point in the title itself, so that.
That's a good point.
Nice. You're hired.
Okay. Okay, any other thoughts, comments on this?
Thank you all, appreciate it.
Thank
Nice
you.
job. Nice job.
This was a
We'll
lot
see the
of
next
work.
one, the next version, for
It'll
draft
get-
two.
As we get through
We're
these,
getting
it's
closer
easier,
and
'cause
closer.
normally we've always just done the RFP, and it was a good feedback from Anna to say the RFQ process. So that has, I think, made the process, it's lengthened the process, but I think ultimately it's gonna derive better results for us as we move
So
forward.
too, it feels better too.
So, in the interest of making decisions, it sounds like we are looking for enhancing or really emphasizing contemporary abstract design. We're still going with bounty and nature, or just bounty?
It can be the same. They can be incorporated,
Are we going with just bounty or nature or both?
nature can be bounty.
It's, I have heard this, seen it written on walls.
So if that's the case, then maybe we don't necessarily need to specify, or maybe we do Oregon's bounty, parentheses, nature, the river, the fish.
Oregon's natural bounty.
Yeah, Oregon's natural bounty.
Oh, and there she is,
Right there, there's the winner.
Oregon's natural bounty.
Okay.
Okay. Now, the other is, did we decide that we are going with option number one?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I would say so.
But we don't need to vote on anything today.
No, no, no.
I'll- right.
No, but it's just because, we say we made decisions and I'm not remembering the decisions, so now I will remember the decisions and that gives you a clear
Yes.
direction.
No, it's always good to recap.
Okay, recap.
Okay.
Okay.
V3 coming soon.
Right there with the.
And any other questions from you on the things we asked for? Perfect. Next up then is Art for Every Heart program.
Speaking of version. Okay. Okay, I thought, I did take into consideration about education. And it just felt like there was too many balls in the court. I'd kind of like to keep this as a contest. Basically, I'd kind of like to open the window for the timeline for when artists can submit their work. Start it a little earlier, and cut it off a little earlier so we can have something else going on here. And in May, artists will be invited to participate in live pop-up events to showcase their work with the public after they have submitted their entries online in a designated space, such as a restaurant, retail store, parking lot, bar, park, Pioneer Community Center, or the Oregon City Public Library Square. So these would be businesses. These events would be advertised on our website and other social media outlets and by flyers. So that part would be kind of a shared educational experience. And we'll keep that with the just one particular discipline. Say we go with music. There'll be like a little mini concert, and we'll say these businesses that we say, okay, we're going to have to canvass these businesses and say, would you be willing to have a little mini concert here? We're doing Art for Every Heart. We're gonna set this up in the parking lot, and I don't know, however many artists we have it'll say maybe an hour, maybe less. And the artists will come out and they'll do their original music, and we'll let the public and the owners and so forth, they'll be able to see and hear the original music. That'll give the public a chance to see, what's going on, and they'll be able to vote for their favorite as well. So they'll have a little heads up on what's going on. And when we close that window, we're going to let the public vote as well for their favorite.
So it's a pop-up contest at a business. You're envisioning it all taking place in a single day, or are they
Over like a month
so?
in different places.
Yeah. So if we advertise this, people from the community would go down when they had an opportunity to go down, would see the artist's performance. But that would mean that the artist would have, like, for music, they'd have to be there every day for several days.
No, this would just be like a single day. Yeah, or say on Friday, whatever, May 3rd, whatever.
Okay.
At the such and such auto body shop. Art for Every Heart, music, live show. And they'll have an opportunity to see this live show.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. They just get this little pop-up. And then maybe next week or a few days later, they'll pop up somewhere else in a different location.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I kept thinking in Southern California, we didn't have pods for like food carts. We had to follow them. And it was kind of fun, so so we would do these little pop-ups so that people could follow the Art for Every Heart in different business locations.
Is the proposal in any way to pay for the artist to perform every time?
No, just for them to get exposure so that they could see and hear it, and they could pick their favorite to pick a winner.
Mm-hmm. I guess where I have.
So they're gonna be really short little songs.
Yeah. I guess my concern there is you wouldn't get. Well, I have a little bit of an issue with, you're gonna have to. A lot of organizations have to go into every single one of these pop-ups to get it worked out, the permits, working with the businesses, and ultimately, you might not get a lot of community members who just show up to those. So the exposure is on the artist side, which I'm totally in favor of, but it doesn't seem like you'll get a lot of community involvement from it. Like, you'll have people that might stop and watch or listen. But if it's only going to be a short little thing and then it's done, and then you go about your thing, it's not really longevity of the impact to the citizens. That's my sense of it from the description. Can you explain? You said you wanted to keep it as the contest. Is there a reason that the contest speaks to you versus another format?
Well, basically to celebrate the art and the artist.
But do you need a contest to do that, or
how are we going to give them money if it's not a contest?
Well, I mean, you could, if you did it where it was like small projects and you paid them for their time, you would be compensating them. Or
projects. What do you mean?
So when we talked last time, say I had thrown out the idea of, a way to get groups of the community who don't necessarily get involved with public art more involved, is to go to areas where they have interest already and show them how art can be applied to that. So the skateboard shop and the skateboard decks was one idea. sending those out to artists. You pay them a stipend, $1,000 or $500 to do their painting, and then you would display those in the business for a while, and then you could, auction them off later to go towards fundraising for something else. That kind of thing. Or one, I had started looking at some of the old trail newses and kind of was just looking at different programs that were in there and how they might be able to be a good example for this. The library had, when COVID hit, they had their books by mail or their books on wheels program, which again, kind of does the same thing. It connects people that wouldn't necessarily be able to get to the library, an opportunity to still engage with the library, right? And is there something similar we could do? The Parks Department came out recently and mentioned that they are gonna work on conservation of water, which is a good thing. They're not gonna water the grass in every park. They're not gonna try and keep things green. But I look at that and I think, okay, so is there a way art can help still keep some of the parks colorful in a way? Could we get artists to do little sculptures that we could put out there that are colorful? Or could we do a display on the ground of rocks that are, each rock's painted? And then you could actually have a community event where people can come out there, paint their rocks, and it creates like I was thinking almost like a Van Gogh, like his Starry Nights. Like if you put the rocks together and you have it all painted kind of by numbers, you can make cool little displays in the dry beds of the stuff they're not watering, right? That kind of stuff.
I can hear a lot of like visual arts opportunities, but what do we do for musicians? What do we do for theater arts?
Could we do a Oregon City artist play list, do CDs and put them out in coffee shops and other businesses and say these are local artists, they perform, it's free, take one if you want one kind of thing, and just as a way, or give them to the businesses to play in their shops. Go ahead.
So I think part of what is happening is there's all these great ideas and we keep moving around with this big universe of ideas, but I'm not sure we know why we're doing this still. And we get, and we talked about that last month, that the origin of this was we wanted something for outreach, marketing, whatever. We wanted to outsource that. So we had a clear goal, and then fitting in how we got it followed afterwards. I'm not hearing that we've got a real clear goal for what art for every heart should be, what we're trying to get from it, with the exception of your idea about trying to involve communities that don't normally relate to art. And so we're trying to spread art into these other maybe potentially isolated communities. I don't know what it is. So that's a goal. I hear that. Mm-hmm. And then if we said that is what we want to do, then I think we could figure out how to get, including, poetry slams and music and some theater. Mm-hmm. But I'd like to hear if we've got an idea for what we're actually looking for. Why are we doing this?
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going last time, and where I'm still thinking this program has the best impact is kind of a grassroots effort to hit those communities with those sub-communities within Oregon City that don't normally engage with the arts. There are people that don't go to the parks. They don't go around looking at the murals and stuff. They might be a gamer, they might, board or video, they might be a skateboarder, they could be someone who does have mobility issues. There's a lot of different people that, I was at the car show, the Oregon City Car Show, and a lot of people there, those people, they don't maybe look at the murals on the wall, but they look at the art of those cars that are around them, and there's, how can we play with that kind of thing? I think getting those people who don't normally engage with public art, more engaged with public art, gives us more ability to educate them on the importance of public art and why they, it is good to have, because it can be impactful to their lives, even if they don't necessarily think it right now. That's my thought.
So I love it, but I maybe more discussion again. That's a good goal. Can we agree on a goal?
It needs a lot more discussion and more structure, because I don't have it.
Yeah.
Well, that's because you have to start with why are we doing it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why we're having trouble decorating all along the edges. If we just knew this is what we're trying to do, then we could fill the rest of this in a lot easier. YouTube, what do you think?
Go ahead, I've been talking a lot.
I guess my only thought was your two visions
Mhm.
are very different. So yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you just have to decide which way it's gonna go.
I was thinking the same thing along your lines, Amy, of like, is this a marketing tool? Is this like a way of supporting artists tool? Like, it's like this one program with like a $600 budget or whatever is trying to accomplish a lot of things. And I feel like you're doing such a great job at trying to figure out how to do that and how to plug it in. But I don't understand where it fits within like the overall strategy of that we've outlined.
Yeah, I
either.
think we
And I'm also
need
like new.
more time to get together and hash this out.
So are you thinking like a work session to do that?
Yes, that would be helpful.
Okay. What are other things about?
Anybody who wants
Rebecca
to.
has her hand.
Oh, Rebecca.
Yeah, so, you know, I was involved with the very genesis of this motto or whatever that we used and have seen it go through several evolutions. And I think we should just let it rest for a little bit. I don't think we have so much other stuff to work on right now. Like, we are spending a lot of time spinning our wheels trying to figure this out. It is serving a purpose. It's on our marketing materials. We have a banner. We've got rack cards. We use it when we go out and about. So, you know, it is doing its thing. I think one of the reasons why we're having trouble, and I talked to Josh about this briefly when he sent me the changes to the bylaws, is that we've really changed as a board from where we were even a year ago. And so if you go and after this meeting and spend a few minutes and read through, like, what is it that we as a board are supposed to be doing? I think that will also help inform what do we do with this, so that everybody's on board and understands, like, this is what an art commission does. And right now, the contest feels like it still fits in with the old definition, which is where it was very artist-centric. And like Josh said early on, you know, we had to like redefine that because the artists are our partners, just like Moot would be a partner or the DMO would be a partner. Our job is to help put different types of art out into civic spaces so that everyone in Oregon City can enjoy them as they encounter them. That's one of the things that we do. So I think having a clear understanding of, and a full-on agreement across our group of what it is that our board does will help us figure out what do we do with art for every heart. Because the initial request almost 3 years ago now was, we just want to make sure, because James was like, you got to have a tagline. And so we wanted to make sure that people didn't think of the art commission as just putting out murals and sculptures, that we touched other art forms, like Amy had touched, had talked about poetry slams and, all performances and all these other things. So that's where that came from. And I think we should step away from the contest, away from giving artists money right now, because we have grants that we can give artists money for, and they can apply for those opportunities as they come up. And really work on getting clear on what we are as an arts commission, and then we can figure out what we want to do with it.
Go.
Thanks, Rebecca. That's helpful. So what I'm hearing is that maybe we want to take a pause, a breath. I know one of the things in our strategic document that we were going to work on kind of after the bylaws was our vision statement and updating that. And maybe it helps once we get the bylaws, the vision statement, those pieces in place and really understand what our role in the ecosystem is, we can then decide how the Art for Every Heart program could evolve. Is that
That works.
That sounds
roughly what?
Because there's also a marketing component of the.
Well, it's a great marketing tool.
No, in the,
Yeah, in the strategic document.
Yes.
Yeah.
No words.
Okay,
Yeah, it needs a framework.
it does.
It's a goal.
And
But
I need a framework if I'm
Well-
gonna do anything
Well-
with this.
What are we doing? Why are we doing it?
Well, yeah, we need to, I think, think about all those aspects and then come back to this. And you talked about framework, I was thinking, at the same time, we also need to like start fresh and say, okay, we have this slogan. Forget everything we've done so far with it. What do we want to continue doing with it going forward, kind of thing. Start with a blank slate and build from there once we have the ideas of all the other pieces.
Sounds good.
Okay,
Let's start over.
I appreciate the work you did on it. I don't necessarily disagree that contest can't be part of it, but I think it needs to be larger than just the contest itself. But yeah, I think it has to have more.
Yeah, I think we need to get all of
Purpose.
these ideas out and then how we're gonna put this in our
Yeah,
framework.
we've done in the past, I believe, a workshop in the fall, maybe even early winter, before holidays really kick off. So we can maybe look at doing something around that.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you. Next up, communication. So there's a few updates here that I wanted to give, and then we can go around the group and see if there's any others that people have. First one was enhancement grant application status. So the enhancement grant committee met this Monday to award the funding of projects. One caveat that came up was that because we're part of the city, we fall under the city or local government projects category, which means that no more than 15% of the Metro grant can go to all city projects that applied. There were 3 that applied. One was some updates to pickleball court in the public parks. One was a homeless camp cleanup proposal by the police department, and one was us. Unfortunately, we did not get any funding from it. The feedback that was received was essentially the project seemed a little early, and the project, they wanted us to have more conversations with some of the other indigenous organizations that represent indigenous people. So I did have a conversation, I will briefly talk about this as a tangent, with the Confederate Tribes of Grand Ronde Tuesday. It went well. I talked about the project. They are interested in hearing more about it, so I've got action to send them some details on the project. But because we didn't get the funding for the enhancement grant, we have kind of an opportunity to still look at it and see how we maybe want to reposition it for a future grant option. I will also note that I received news yesterday that there is potentially another option that just came available, grant funds that the city might be receiving that we could get towards this project. One piece that I didn't get to tell the Enhancement Grant Committee, which is relevant here and as we go forward we should think about, is if in a city park where we have 4 or 5 statues that they want to put in, because we don't have a percentage for the arts program, we're not going to get a lump sum amount of money to do all those in 1 year. We have to start planning ahead of time. So I don't think that the argument for long-term planning is necessarily a good thought because, again, we're not going to get, $250,000 to do 5 projects in a given year. We've got to start working now to slowly build those up so that they're ready in 5 years when the project is done, or however long it takes. So that's where we were on the Enhancement grant. I'll stop there, see if there's any questions.
Did we get a letter of support from the Yakima Nation?
We did from the Yakima Nation, and we got a letter of permission from the Parks Department as well. So I will say this, and this is my opinion, the Enhancement Grant Committee is a little odd in that I think they try and set rules for themselves, but a lot of times they don't really follow those rules or guidelines once they get into it.
Who's on the enhancement grant?
So it's
Is it
the city
volunteers?
commissioner, there are a few volunteers that are appointed. It's the city commissioners and the mayor, and then representative from Metro, the commissioner from Metro. So the city commissioner, I think everyone on there this year was on there last year too. So it's the same group, so they're the ones who all discussed the changes and trying to make the program more, I think, strict in parameters, and yet I feel like they didn't quite stick to those new parameters like tangible assets, things like that. There wasn't there was a few, but there weren't a ton of tangible assets. There were a lot of social programs that I think updated their programs to kind of make it seem like there was some tangible stuff to it, but it wasn't quite the same. The fact that most of those projects, you'll have to fund again next year to keep them running. There's no guarantee that they're funded and they're good to go for the rest of existence, whereas a statue would be, essentially. So I had a little bit of frustration with that, but I think overall, given the fact that we might have some other opportunities and other potential grants that we could go for, I think we still are in a good position. And it also gives us a chance, because we had a short window of a month basically to get that application in, it gives us a window again to step back and take a breath and reevaluate, make sure we have everything lined up. So
Who did get the funding from the 15%?
the police program received full funding, and the pickleball court received a portion.
Right, they got $17,500, so Parks and Recreation got $17,500 in partnership with the Hillendale Pickleball Club for the court improvements at Hillendale. And $35,000 went to the police for their, and it's not, a portion of it is the homeless camp and cleanup, but it goes to graffiti removal, RV removal, and other kinds of cleanup activities.
So could those be considered city expenses? Oh, I'm not even on. Oh, sorry, haven't been on. Could those be considered sort of general city expenses?
Yes, they could be. There's a recognition that the city is becoming increasingly reliant upon on the enhancement grant for those kinds of functions. It's expensive to do those kinds of cleanups, and it is an important issue that's not going to go away.
And could potentially a little color to it is all of those functions that are identified in the enhancement grant are funded through the city's general fund. And that is our general wallet in comparison to our restricted funds that come from specific revenue sources. The general fund is always the most strapped fund in any city in general. It's the most fluctuating fund. It's the fund that has the most requests that come out of it. And so, although, yes, those types of functions may be identified as something that can fall under a standard general fund allocation, the city has to make prioritization of the limited funds that they have. And so they, just like every other organization, has to actively go out and look for alternative funding sources and grants. And so, yes, but.
The only reason that I mentioned that there's recognition, I think, among Enhancement Grant Committee members that that's an ongoing and important activity that the city it's their responsibility to do, is that there may be an opportunity to have a conversation with Metro about upping the percentage. The IGA says that it could be.
Yeah, because otherwise,
Right.
everybody else is gonna be
So.
capped
that's-
out.
So I think that there's some interest in pursuing that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, all the programs that came at the meeting were great. I was happy to hear that the the Willamette Falls Orchestra, right? Willamette Falls Orchestra did get at least partial funding of what they wanted. The last couple of years, I think they've had a rough go of it, trying to get some of their funding from the enhancement grant. So this year, getting partial was great news. So yeah, I was excited at the very end. I think they just beat the wire. So yeah. Okay, next up was the Creative Action Lab date selection.
Wait, sorry, real fast.
Oh, go ahead.
Good, thank you for doing that work and for showing up and trying to get, writing a grant and then not getting it is a bummer. So, bummer. And I like your take is let's take a breath and there's other opportunities coming down the
Yeah.
line and you're continuing to have good conversations with tribal members and
Yeah,
I think
no.
it was a good deadline for us to get the process going and we'll just keep it going.
Well, I do like that we can show we took action on something coming out of the Creative Action Lab because that's going to hopefully help keep progress going with that think tank that we put together. So, which is a good segue to the next topic. But yeah, no, and they all mentioned that they liked the project. They all mentioned that they really liked it. They thought it was a great idea. I think some of them just got caught up in a few little things. And when you're competing against a program that cleans up, things around the city, it's hard to compete against that. It really is. So, yeah. Creative Action Lab date selection. So we did the last one in April. I was going to propose doing one in early November, and I just want people to start thinking about dates in early November if there's any conflicts that you can have off the top of your head. We can send something out after the meeting, of course, to kind of identify a good day. I think what I would prefer this time is a weeknight, like 6 or 7 o'clock, and go for 2 hours, but happy to hear other people's opinions. And avoid holidays, of course.
Yeah.
So early November.
So you're not wanting to do the weekends?
I'm open to doing the weekends. I would just think, weekday we might get, some people couldn't make it on a weekend normally, might be able to make it on a weekday. So we changing it up a little bit, but I'm open to what others suggest.
I was thinking it made sense for people that work.
Well, that's why I was doing evening, but yes, you're right.
I'd prefer evening weekday than weekend
Okay.
for voting.
Yeah.
What other thing?
I'm flexible.
Your phone, okay. Doesn't matter. Rebecca?
Bueller.
Oh, sorry, I unmute myself. I would like to do evening during the week.
Okay. So we'll send out just a reminder after the meeting to look at your calendars, let us know early November timeframe. I wouldn't want to do it around too close or on Halloween, but maybe even late October. And that way we can start getting things scheduled, we can get invites out so people can get on their calendars earlier. Last time, I think by the time we figured out what we wanted to do and stuff, we didn't give people a lot of time. So hopefully we get, again, more participation and stuff, but we can have a good session. Last thing is City Commission update recap. So did a presentation to the City Commission last night. It was essentially a summary of the written presentation that I shared at the last meeting. Overall, I think it went well. Some of the key messaging that I received from the city commissioners and mayor was they are really looking for new art pieces coming to fruition. So statues and murals and other public art pieces. I did I think, hint at the fact that, well, we would have had another statue on the list had you approved us the other night, but that, bygones be bygone. And I emphasize, you know, we've got about 5 murals that are potentially in the works right now that could come to fruition in the next year. So they're coming, but I said we had to focus on getting things at the base level figured out, because we realized we weren't set off when they restarted our submission. They really didn't put a lot of effort into thinking through the things that could hamper us. You know, the fact that we couldn't even pay for a mural before now. It was kind of, you know, otherwise now we're having to just convince businesses to put up the money in one of the, you know, very tough economic times of post-COVID and high inflation. So that's hard. That's a hard sell to make to anyone unless you're helping some way fund them. So other than that, I don't know, Amy, you came, was there anything highlighted that you remember in your head?
No, I thought you were really great. I honestly, we owe him a big thanks, because it was very well done. You did it in writing as had been requested specifically from the previous era. And they were attentive. Yeah, other than mentioning, you know, where's the art? And you had an excellent answer. So I thought it went very well.
Yeah. Not a lot of questions besides, yeah, just the comment of more art. So.
And that is one of the reasons that we started having this, you know, focus on let's hurry up and get some of the stuff out. And then last month we felt, well, we've got 5 options here, so we can cool our jets just a little bit. But it has been getting back to us that, you know, they were like, we give you guys all this, you know, all this money.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're not seeing anything
They did
for
say
it.
that. They said you're one of the best funded commissions out there, and I pointed out that it would only take in 2 projects, I could spend all that money. Like, it doesn't take that much to spend $50,000 in a biennium on public art pieces. So we try to maximize and amplify the amount of art we can do by being good stewards of the money we're given. But yeah, we always will take more.
Yeah, so good job, Josh.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Any other communications items that people want to bring up? One thing that did come up at the meeting, because I was trying to think of other statues as well, was the Lee Kelly. Have you heard anything more at this point?
I texted her a month ago.
Okay.
I was like, you're still in my mind.
Okay.
We're still attentive and here for you, and I didn't hear anything back, so
Okay.
I can try again.
I got the impression that the city commission might want to be a little involved in identifying a potential location for that.
I figured.
I think what I would recommend doing is working with Parks and Public Works to identify maybe a few options, and then taking those few options rather than all options to the city commission, so that they can feel like they still have input, but not go wild or have too many options to pick from.
I'm betting, because that's a word. I am betting that since they're gonna have 5 sculptures in Clackamas Park, right? No.
4 or 5, yeah.
4, I thought it was 5. That might be a proposal to work with them, especially if it takes a little bit longer to go through this granting process or whatever, to say, no, in the new park, this would just be one of the locations. There's a really good space that would be seen a lot.
No, I agree. It would be a good location. But yeah, we can look around and see if there's a temporary, we'd have to need at least a temporary place probably in the meantime, and it would all depend on the size and stuff of the piece, where we have to look. One other thing, back to the conversation I had with the Confederate tribe of the Grand Ronde. So they are going to be donating, well, they purchased 70, but they're going to donate 50 manhole covers with a design by a artist from the tribe, and and those are gonna be coming in August, I think you said August 11th. And with that, they talked about doing some type of maybe minor event or tie it into another event, and doing shirt printings from it, which was really cool. I said, August, when he first said August, I was like, oh, well, we've got two great events happening, but it's like the week after he gets them, so it's like, dang it. But so that's something else we might need to be talking about in the next month or so, how we want to do that. And then I believe I heard last night Public Works, was it Public Works that gave the third presentation last night at the city commission meeting? It was
Oh, it was
some
about the
infrastructure.
infiltration.
Yeah, the inflow and stuff. Is that Public
Yeah.
Works?
Um,
Okay. They were talking about needing to replace a bunch of manhole covers, and I was kind of thinking, well, I feel like,
It's the manholes.
oh, it's the manholes itself? I
Yeah.
thought they were meaning the covers themselves, not the
No,
manholes.
they did a couple in front of my house, and you open it up and it is just a time capsule with a bunch of old brick, and so they're
Okay.
pulling those out and making brand new ones that
Got it.
last longer.
Okay, understood. Then in that case, what I would recommend is, you know, if we end up working with the Confederate tribes in any way on that project and identifying places, focusing on areas that have high foot traffic and are, you know, I mean, 50 feels like a lot, but there's probably more manholes out there than I think about there being. So 50 might not go as far as I'm imagining. So yeah, there's that project that could be coming as well. And that'd be, I think, just really cool. I told them one thing we can do is we could do a blog or an article on our website about art and infrastructure and how, you know, little pieces of art can be tied into, you know, a bike rack or manhole cover or little pieces, and how in Lexington they have streetlights that look like they're dancing together, which is kind of cool, but they're still functioning streetlights. So how do you incorporate art? And then we could interview the artist herself, you know, talk through what, you know, she finds interesting about that, you know, what's the right word I'm trying to think of, you know, putting art into functional pieces of the city, right? So, and they seem to be good with that. They like that idea. So we could do things like that, given now that we have that resource, and it would be a good way to add some new, fresh materials on there. So that's it, what I have in communication. Any other, nothing?
I just had a quick question about getting communications out and like the timing of all of our asks for things. So I don't know if like that Oregon Trail magazine is a regular outlet for us, or if it's just very specific projects. You know, having stuff on the website, putting out a blog. If there's timelines that we can wrap our projects with, so that like when we go and ask for more applications, people, how is that message getting out that we still need people?
That's a good point. So the Trail News, Jared, who is the one who basically runs that, he's always happy to hear about new things. I'm not sure if he would do one just like for the applications in there. There might be a piece where he has like openings to all the commissions right now, because there's several that have vacancies. He'll probably do one as we get closer to the annual like elections or interviews, appointments, things like that.
And like the RFQ or
Yeah.
publicizing
That's,
Art for Every Heart. And
I envision all of that going under the marketing plan, which is part of the strategic plan, right? So that's something we can start. And I know Rebecca's already done actually quite a bit of work, because her and Daria worked on it several years ago when they were working on the Art for Every Heart motto. So there is some like bones out there that we probably need to go back and update and clean up now that we also have our own website. So yes, we do probably need to figure out a marketing, like, okay, this is gonna get launched here and it's gonna hit these things and da-da-da-da. So to your point, yeah, we don't have anything
We're also able to
structured
use
right
the
now.
city's, social media, so
Yeah.
I can also, but like, so today, example, the 18th of June was the deadline for the July trail news.
Yeah, so it's stuff like
Right,
those cutoff
right,
dates,
but
yeah.
then, but there are, if we have something coming up, like, I think we should do something about the public mural day, and on the city's social media. So if you have ideas for social media, just send them to me and I can share them with our communications department and if it's something that we're doing or that the city, that the city's involved with, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Rebecca, did you have anything to add to that? I know you put some effort into that.
No, not right now.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, well, sorry, we are past our time. I didn't mean for that to happen. If there's nothing else, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion, adjourn.
I second.
Thank you.
What are we calling? 8:40?
8:41.
Okay.
I'm looking at my computer.
Oh, good.
Okay, so we'll consider the meeting adjourned.